What's up, everybody? This is your boy Big Delicious Double XL. I'm currently working on my first video game review, but I got something in the mail that got me really excited, so I thought I'd do a quick review on what I got in the mail. This morning, I got the FC Mobile 2. Now, this is the second revision of this model. This is the NTSC version to keep in mind for anyone who does want to get one of these, as it will play your PAL games, the sound, quite fast. I'll give you a quick show of that later on. I'll just show you the box. Just got some features, what it has. Inside the box, if you really want to see, that's you've got the zapper, the two wireless controllers, the TV out, and the charger, which obviously I can't use without a step-down transformer, which I haven't got, but it's battery powered, so that's good enough for me. Now, this is the actual unit itself. It's a very light, it doesn't feel flimsy at all, but it's got that very light, comfortable feel, fits in your hand nice. It is quite thick, but keeping in mind it does play the actual cartridges. It does have a nice little dust cover there, which is really important, otherwise those pins are going to get quite dirty. Now, on the actual unit itself, you have your standard A and B buttons. Now, one big improvement over the FC Mobile 1 was the fact that they actually got these the right way around. With the FC Mobile 1, they fucked it up a little bit and they had them run the wrong way. Now, not only do you have a standard A and B, you also have the turbo A and B buttons. Not necessary, but it's kind of fun. The D-pad's really good. The only thing is that when you press down, there's obviously only two parts of the D-pad, but it doesn't feel as flimsy as the original. Now, there is a reset button up here, which in my opinion isn't really necessary, and it is kind of in the worst place possible. They didn't really move that from the first one, which is a bit of a silly idea. The start and select buttons are there, and they're quite nice. Now, this thing does take 4 AA batteries, and they do tend to fling out, so that screw is quite necessary. In terms of the screen, it's a nice little 2-inch LCD. It's really vibrant, and the games look they look fantastic. The only thing you have to keep in mind is your games do really need to be clean, because these pins are quite sensitive. So you might get a bit of flicker, a couple of typical NES graphic fuck-ups that do tend to happen. Before I show you the games, the only two complaints that I do have are the on and off button is really sort of flimsy. You really do have to flick it, and sometimes you can't even tell when you flicked it. And the screen size. I mean, really guys, it's 2 inches. Considering this is the second revision of the model and they didn't increase the screen size, I mean, what's the point of this grey shit here? You just make the screen bigger. I know it's an 8-bit console, but I think the graphics could really be fully appreciated with a bigger screen. In terms of compatibility, I've tested about 100 of my NES games on this thing so far, and not one of them have messed up or not worked. I think there's only one game, I think that's Castlevania 3, that has a tendency not to work on one of these units, but we'll have a look. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean when I say the speed of the sound is speed is quite fast. This is just for anyone who's interested in getting one of these NTSC consoles in a PAL territory. So just to show you an example, I have the PAL version of Ninja Gaiden, which is known as Shadow Warriors. I will also mention that the cart slot holds the game excellently and will not fall out unless you really pull it out. So, get this thing on. And just to give you a little bit of a show as to what I'm seeing. I know the quality of the camera is quite shit, guys. I'm really sorry about that, but we'll work through it. Alright, so yeah, the camera really doesn't do the screen justice. It's really quite nice. Just to give you an idea of the sound. That's way too fast. Anyone who has played Ninja Gaiden or Shadow Warriors knows that is way too fast. It doesn't actually affect the gameplay. Nothing really, your character doesn't move any faster, the controls are still as responsive, but the sound is quite fast. Just to give you an idea in terms of comparison, I have Double Dragon here. This is the NTSC version of Double Dragon. Now we'll give this one a look, and you'll see exactly what I mean as this one's right on pace. Definitely no fuck ups there. The one advantage I have noticed about this unit is the fact that I do have several NES consoles modded for any NTSC. Now, some of them do have some graphical issues. The cool thing about this is because it is an NTSC console, it doesn't have any of those graphical issues, and the fact that it has a TV out, it works on this TV quite well. Keeping in mind, you do have to have an NTSC compatible TV. Otherwise, the graphics will show up in black and white. It's still completely playable and the sound is fine, but that is definitely something to keep in mind. In terms of the Zapper and the wireless controllers, it is infrared, and I have tried to give it a test, and I did have some failed results. They didn't quite work as well as I thought. Everyone knows about infrared back in the days of Sega Mega Drive. I used to have infrared controllers, and you had to sit perfectly aligned 2 meters away from the console, and it was a complete waste of time. Apparently the infrared on this is quite good according to some reviewers on the internet. I just have to take their word for granted. Now, overall, this is definitely a good unit. I paid $45 for this on eBay plus $15 shipping, and I think that's a pretty good deal considering it is an NES clone. Just a couple of things to keep in mind, guys. If you are in the PAL territory and you are thinking about getting one of these, like I've said multiple times, this is an NTSC console, and even with the new PAL revision of the console they've released, apparently there is even worse sound issues. So I would definitely get this one here. This is definitely a good console to get if you have a large NTSC NES library like I do. It's much easier and cheaper to import NES games if you know what you're doing and if you've got a top loader. But if you are going to use this as a home console, I would definitely look into getting an original NES, as this alone takes 4 AA batteries, the 2 wireless controllers take 2 AAA, and the Zapper takes 3 AAA. So it might be a bit of a waste of time if you are looking to use this as a home console. As I said, the AV out works perfectly fine. The volume on this thing is really loud. The headphone jack I've used and it works fine. Keeping in mind that the sound is only in mono, it doesn't have stereo, this is NES. Overall, I'm really happy with my purchase, and like I said, if you do have a big NTSC NES library, I would definitely get one of these if you're not into emulation and you want to actually play the real thing. It's definitely a better feel than playing an emulator on the PSP or a DS or something like that. Well, that's it from me, guys. Like I said, I'm working on my first video game review. I'm going to be reviewing Mighty Final Fight on the NES, so if anyone has any opinions about that beat 'em up, I think it's a great game. Gonna give it a good review. Well, this is Big Delicious XXL, and I'll see you guys soon.